Hello, I'm Father Joe Roesch of the Marian Fathers of the Immaculate Conception. Thank you for joining us as we continue with our year-long journey reading the diary of St. Maria Faustina Kowalska from beginning to end. Today we have a letter from St. Faustina to Father Sopoćko from January of 1937. Krakow, Pradnik, 31st of January, 1937. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Reverend and dear Father, thank you very much for the wafer, and especially for remembering me. I received your letter on the feast of St. Stephen. I consumed the wafer with love and in profound contemplation. It reminded me of the many special moments and of God's benefits which I received there. May God continue to be blessed within us. I would very much like to hear news about you, dear Father. How is your precious health? Because I feel that you are always suffering, but this is a trait of God's chosen ones. I would like to know what the current situation of our undertaking is. I would like to learn something about it, not from my own interior knowledge, but directly from you, Father. I am always very happy to receive a sincere and open letter. Although the truth is a little unpleasant for self-love, it always endows the spirit with endurance and strength. I would like to say a few words about myself, Father. I was truly overjoyed that I was going to die and that my spirit would be drowned forever in God, as the only object of its love. But it was not yet God's will. The Lord Jesus is restoring my health completely. Evidently, He will not let me die until I fulfill everything He has entrusted to me. I was already at the gates of death, and I have once again been returned to the fullness of life. I feel so strong, as if I had never been ill. The doctor says that it is quite strange that I have recovered so fully. Although I am still to remain in the sanatorium until March, I already feel so well that I could set about work like the healthiest of sisters. Thank you, dear Father, for your prayers, which were pleasing to God. They have obtained health for me. I must still mention, though, that I desired death, so much that I do not know whether I shall ever again experience a similar desire. The longing for God was so great that it often put me into a swoon. When I told Father Andras about it, he replied that it was a good sign, and that all souls called to fulfill greater works have experienced similar desires. I am not allowed to make any definite decisions yet until I am completely well and return home. At that time, Father Andras will give me concrete instructions on how to make the first steps in this whole direction. And now, as regards the very depths of my soul, everything is exactly as before. I shall not write any details here, because I hope that we shall see each other shortly, and then I will give you an account of the entire time. I would only like to write one thing. At the present, I am under the special gaze of the Lord, and as regards the difficulties in this whole matter, I thank God that they do exist. They stress that this is God's affair, and I am happy when I learn that there are difficulties. They are the sparks that ignite the fire of love within my soul. I like very much facing these adversities. One's whole life is a struggle. I shall not rest until I have achieved what the Lord wishes, and I will lay down my sword at the feet of the Holy Trinity only when the Lord Himself will tell me, rest. I would also like to mention that, should you deign to answer my letter, please address the letter directly to me in the sanatorium. I kiss your hand and ask your prayers and blessings, dear Father. United in the most merciful heart of Jesus, your spiritual daughter, Maria Faustina. I shall stay here in the sanatorium until the 3rd of March. The address, Krakow, 80 Pradnika Street, Sanatorium, Ward 1. Faustina writes that she had received the Christmas note and wafer that he had sent. She received it on the feast of St. Stephen, the day after Christmas, and that she had consumed the wafer with love. It was a blessing from God. She worries about his health, which is not the best. She herself was still in the sanatorium with tuberculosis, but her concern is for others that suffer. Faustina says that God's chosen ones always suffer. She asks for an update on the Divine Mercy undertaking. Jesus enlightens her about it, but she'd like to hear about it directly from Father Sopoćko. Regarding herself, she had thought that death was near, but her time had not yet come. She's getting stronger at that point. Jesus has more for her to do. The doctor was amazed at her recovery. She thanks Father Sopoćko for his prayers, which restored her to health, even though she had wanted to go to the Lord. She had such an inner longing to be with the Lord. Her desire to be with God is declared a good sign by Father Andras. He wants her to make no definite decisions about leaving the congregation until she feels well and she returns to the convent. She writes a few words about the difficulties that they are facing regarding the new endeavor. She says they set her soul on fire with love for God. She is not afraid of difficulties. She is like the knight going into battle. She wants to achieve what God has assigned her to do. She asks Father Sopoćko to write to her at the sanatorium, and she writes that she'll be there for 2 months more. St. Faustina can teach us how to surrender to God's will and how to grow through the struggles of our lives.